Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What do we got today?
Well, today we're going deep into the world of bounty hunting.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a topic that's often shrouded in mystery, and frankly, a lot of misconceptions.
Definitely.
And to help us navigate this kind of shadowy world, we've got two incredible sources. We've got the Bounty Hunter's Handbook
Okay.
and some amazing firsthand accounts from Dakota Franson and his Franson files.
Oh, nice. Now, when you say the Bounty Hunter's Handbook, I mean, is this like a practical guide, something you'd find in a real bounty hunter's backpack?
Well, it's actually even more than that. It's the foundation for an online course
What?
called Introduction to Bounty Hunting.
There's a course for that.
Yeah, offered by the Bonkers Network Academy.
Wow. Okay. I'm already intrigued. And the Academy is connected to Dakota Franson, right?
Yeah, and get this, he's the CEO of the whole Balded Bonkers Network, the company behind the Academy.
Hold on. So the guy who wrote the Franson files, the guy who's lived this life, he's now running an academy to teach others? That's wild.
Totally, it's like he's gone from chasing fugitives to shaping the next generation of bounty hunters.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we've got this handbook, a course, and Dakota Franson's personal stories in the Franson file. So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, I think before we jump into Dakota's wild ride, we should probably start with the basics, right? What exactly is bounty hunting? What are we actually talking about here?
Okay, yeah. So bounty hunting, essentially it's the pursuit and apprehension of individuals who have skipped bail.
Okay, so they're basically running from the law.
Exactly. And these bounty hunters, also known as bail enforcement agents, they work on contract with bail bondsmen.
To bring those folks back in.
Right.
Got it.
So it's not as simple as just like chasing down bad guys like you see in the movies.
Right, yeah. There's got to be more to it.
Way more.
So what are we going to uncover in this deep dive?
So in this deep dive, we're going to explore the history of bounty hunting, the legal and procedural side of things, how they actually track and apprehend someone,
Okay.
and maybe even more importantly, the ethical considerations that come with this line of work.
Right, because it can't be easy making those kinds of judgment calls out in the field, right?
And with Dakota Franson's firsthand accounts, we're going to get a real glimpse into what it was actually like for him to be in the field.
Oh, I'm excited for that, to hear those stories.
Yeah, it's not just theory, it's real life experience.
So let's talk about this Bounty Hunter's Handbook.
Yeah.
It's described as like a comprehensive guide. Did they give you a sneak peek at the table of contents?
I did take a look, and it's pretty extensive.
Okay.
Covers everything from the basics of the profession, the legal aspects, tracking techniques, how they use technology,
Oh, wow.
psychological tactics, safety protocols. It's like a one-stop shop for understanding this world.
Okay, so it's not just for like seasoned bounty hunters. It's also for people who are thinking about getting into the field.
Exactly. It's like an introduction. And what's really interesting is that each chapter seems to mirror an aspect of Dakota Franson's own experiences.
Oh, really?
It's like the handbook was built on his real-world knowledge.
That's awesome. So it's got that practical, hands-on perspective.
Right, let's dive into Dakota's story then. What led him to this line of work, and what were some of the defining moments of his career?
Okay, so Franson Files Compendium entry number 98. It reveals that Dakota's background was actually pretty diverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had experience in investigations, connections to law enforcement, and a natural talent for psychological profiling.
Wait, hold on. He could actually predict how fugitives would behave?
It seems that way, and it definitely gave him an edge.
That's incredible.
And his track record, pretty impressive.
Like, how impressive are we talking?
Well, he captured over 50 fugitives
50.
in just 11 months.
That's insane. How did he do that?
He used a combination of traditional methods and some pretty cutting-edge techniques like digital forensics.
So he was adapting to the changing world of bounty hunting.
Yeah, he was definitely ahead of the curve. But something tells me this line of work, I mean, it wasn't all adrenaline rushes and successful captures, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a darker side to this.
Exactly. I mean, the constant pressure, the danger, the exposure to the criminal world, it all took a toll on him.
Yeah, you can't just walk away from that unscathed.
And tragically, the murder of his fiancée, Tori, really pushed him to a breaking point.
Oh, wow, that's awful.
Yeah, it forced him to confront the emotional and ethical complexities of the job in a way that he never had before.
So what happened after that? Did he leave bounty hunting altogether?
He did, but not before a pretty profound experience.
Ooh.
Yeah. Dakota had this vivid dream visitation from Tori and their unborn daughter, Rose, urging him to to use his knowledge for good, but in a way that wouldn't engulf him in darkness.
That's powerful. So he was being pulled in a new direction.
Yeah. And this experience, it was a turning point for him, leading him to step back from actively apprehending fugitives.
But what is he doing now?
Well, he assists law enforcement in cases related to human trafficking
Oh, wow.
and ritualistic crimes.
So he's still fighting for justice, but from a different angle.
Exactly.
So we've got this Introduction to Bounty Hunting course based on the Bounty Hunter's Handbook, and Dakota Franson, the author of the Franson Files, who used to be a bounty hunter and is now the CEO of the company behind the academy. This is like...
There's a lot to unpack, right?
Yeah, it's like a real-life action movie with a deep philosophical twist.
Yeah, and it's like his personal journey mirrors the evolution of the profession itself, from the raw, gritty reality of chasing fugitives to this more nuanced understanding of the legal, ethical, and psychological complexities involved.
Okay, so how does the Bounty Hunter's Handbook actually reflect these complexities?
Well, let's crack open this handbook and see what gems we can uncover.
All right, let's do it. So we're diving into this Bounty Hunter's Handbook. Where do we start?
Well, thinking about Dakota's own struggles with the ethical and legal side of things,
Right.
I'm really curious to see how the handbook, how it tackles those issues.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chapter 2 is all about the legal aspects.
Right, right.
I mean, that's where it gets real, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the Wild West anymore. There are rules to this game.
Oh, yeah. Big time. The handbook, it really stresses how important it is to understand the law.
Makes sense.
Both, in theory and in practice.
Right.
It emphasizes that bounty hunters, they operate within a very specific legal framework.
Yeah.
And stepping outside those boundaries, I mean, it can have some serious consequences.
Yeah, for sure. You're dealing with people's freedom.
Exactly.
You can't just, like, wing it.
No, not at all.
So what kind of legal intricacies would someone learn about in this course?
Well, the handbook goes into a whole range of legal issues. Everything from, like, the limits of a bounty hunter's authority to the permissible use of force during an apprehension.
Oh, wow.
And it even covers, the complexities of interstate extradition.
What's that?
When a fugitive flees across state lines.
Oh, right, right.
That gets complicated.
Yeah, I bet.
Remember Dakota's caseload?
Yeah.
A lot of his work took him across state lines.
He's based in Nevada, right?
Right, Nevada.
Yeah.
And the handbook really highlights the importance of understanding those jurisdictional differences.
Right.
Because they can really impact a bounty hunter's actions and legal standing.
It's not just about knowing the law, it's about applying it, right?
Exactly. In real time,
Yeah.
often under pressure.
That's intense.
Yeah. The handbook emphasizes that legal knowledge, it's not just about passing a test, it's about making sound judgment calls out there in the field.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, we've covered the legal side of things.
Right.
What about, like, the actual nuts and bolts of bounty hunting?
Right. The actual, like, tracking, the surveillance,
Yeah.
the apprehension.
Yeah.
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Chapter 3, it delves into those techniques for tracking and apprehending fugitives,
Okay.
and it covers a surprisingly wide range of methods.
Like what?
Everything from, traditional surveillance to modern technological tools.
I bet there are some parallels to how Dakota worked.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, remember how Dakota was known for his psychological profiling?
Yeah, he was like a mind reader.
Right. Well, the handbook actually has a whole chapter dedicated to psychological tactics.
Oh, wow.
It highlights the importance of understanding criminal behavior
Okay.
and using negotiation skills to try to resolve those situations peacefully.
Hold on. You're telling me talking is sometimes more effective than chasing?
It might sound counterintuitive, but yeah, the handbook really emphasizes that negotiation
Okay.
and persuasion can often be more effective than just brute force.
That makes sense.
Leads to safer outcomes for everyone involved.
Interesting. So it's not always about kicking down doors like in the movies.
No, not always. And remember, Kahota, he relied heavily on his understanding of human behavior to track down these fugitives.
Right. He was anticipating their moves.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't just chasing shadows.
So it's not just about being tough. You got to be smart, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've got the legal stuff. The tracking techniques. Is there more?
There's more. Chapter 4 explores the role of technology in modern bounty hunting.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be a game changer.
Oh, huge. Things have really changed dramatically in recent years.
I was just thinking that. I mean, we live in a digital age. Everyone leaves a trail online.
Right.
Social media alone must be a gold mine.
Oh, absolutely. The handbook talks about social media monitoring, GPS tracking, specialized databases.
Right.
It even touches on facial recognition software.
Wow.
So technology is really pushing the boundaries in this field.
So bounty hunting is becoming as much about data analysis as it is about traditional detective work.
Exactly.
It's like a whole new world.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the legal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the tracking techniques,
Yes.
What else is in this handbook?
Well, Chapter 5, it focuses on training and certification,
Okay.
and it emphasizes that becoming a qualified bounty hunter, it's a serious undertaking.
So you can't just watch a couple of action movies and call yourself a bounty hunter.
Probably not a good idea.
Okay.
The handbook, it stresses that ongoing education is crucial.
Yeah.
Because the laws are always changing, the tools of the trade are constantly evolving.
Right.
You got to stay ahead of the game.
It's a high-stakes profession.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be prepared.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to Dakota.
Okay.
Remember his turning point after Tory?
Yeah, the dream visitation.
Right. And that led him to reevaluate his whole path.
He wanted to use his skills differently.
Right. And Chapter 6, which focuses on psychological tactics, it actually touches on that very struggle that Dakota faced.
Oh, wow.
It emphasizes self-awareness, ethical conduct,
Right.
and the potential psychological toll that this line of work can take.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
It encourages aspiring bounty hunters to really develop a strong moral compass
That's
to
important.
guide their actions.
It's not just about catching the bad guy. It's about doing it the right way.
Exactly. And that leads us to another fascinating chapter.
Okay.
Chapter 7, which dives into the historical evolution of bounty hunting.
Ooh, a history lesson. I'm ready.
All right, let's step back in time.
So we've talked about the law, the techniques, the tech even, but we keep coming back to Dakota Franson
Yeah.
and how this job, how it affected him.
It's a tough job.
It seems like the Bounty Hunter's Handbook really tries to prepare people for that reality,
He does.
like the emotional and ethical challenges.
Oh, absolutely. And Chapter 7, the one about the history of bounty hunting,
Right.
it actually gives us a really interesting background for understanding those challenges.
Okay.
You know, it traces how the profession evolved from, like, the Wild West days to, the more regulated form we have today.
So bounty hunting has been around for centuries.
Oh, yeah.
Had no idea.
It's got this long and colorful history.
Wow.
And the handbook explores how societal values and, legal systems, even technology, how all of that has shaped the profession over time.
It's not just a job.
Right.
It's a reflection of how we think about justice and crime and punishment.
Exactly.
I never thought about it like that.
And speaking of evolving understandings, Chapter 8, it focuses on safety protocols.
Oh, okay.
It really emphasizes those inherent risks that come with bounty hunting.
Right.
And the importance of personal security measures.
Makes sense.
It's not a game.
No.
It demands constant vigilance.
Yeah, you got to be careful out there.
You do. You're dealing with people who are actively trying to avoid capture.
Yeah.
And that can create some really unpredictable situations.
Right.
The handbook, it covers everything from risk assessment,
Okay.
situational awareness, defensive tactics, the importance of having a backup plan. It really stresses that a bounty hunter's safety
Yeah.
is paramount.
Got to protect yourself first.
Absolutely, both for their own well-being
Right.
and the integrity of the profession.
So the handbook really tries to prepare people for the full spectrum of challenges, right?
It does, and it doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of the job.
Yeah.
Especially the ethical dilemmas that bounty hunters, they inevitably face.
That's what keeps coming up to me. It's not just about catching the fugitive.
right.
It's about how you do it.
Exactly. Chapter 9, it dives headfirst into those ethical considerations.
Okay.
It explores those gray areas of apprehension, the use of force,
Right.
the balance between justice and profit.
Those must be tough calls to bear.
Oh, they are. It's one of the things that makes this profession so complex and ethically challenging. Even with the best intentions, there are going to be situations where the right thing to do isn't always clear.
And that's where Dakota's story is so important.
Right.
He faced those dilemmas.
He did.
And he ultimately decided to step back.
Because of the toll it took.
Yeah, exactly.
His experience, it reminds us that bounty hunting isn't just about the chase.
Right.
It's about the human cost.
On everyone involved.
Yeah.
Even the bounty hunter.
Exactly.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
We went from thinking about bounty hunting as like a Hollywood thing to understanding it's this complex profession.
Right.
With a rich history, demanding skills, and a lot of ethical considerations.
Yeah. The Bounty Hunter's Handbook and the Introduction to Bounty Hunting course, it really captures what this world is about.
Yeah.
And Dakota Franson's story,
Mm-hmm.
the Franson files,
Yeah.
they add that layer of personal experience that brings it all to life.
It makes you wonder, though, can you really be effective in this job without being affected by all the darkness?
That's a good question.
Is it possible to maintain your